province announces its plan for the Thunder Bay generating station. Flu season arrives in the Thunder Bay area. And Toronto City Council moves to rein in Rob Ford.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Liberal government has once again announced its intentions to convert the Thunder Bay generating station, but this time the coal plant won't be switching to natural gas as once planned.
MPPs Bill Morrow and Michael Gravel say the local facility will become the first advanced biomass station in the world. But as Dennis Ward reports, regional politicians aren't quite sold on the plan, and opposition parties say it's just another election promise.
MPP Bill Morrow says the province will meet its commitment to end the use of coal by converting the Thunder Bay generating station to burn biomass. Morrow feels the 5-year agreement to produce electricity here will allow time to determine future energy needs. He says this conversion is also saving hundreds of millions of dollars.
Why would we mothball an asset that's valued at billions of dollars? It's got a half-life left in it still. Why would we not do that? The capital cost conversion for this plant is only going to be about $5 million. And for that, we're going to be positioned to produce 150 megawatts of energy.
After a year of pressuring the province to convert the Thunder Bay generating station from coal to natural gas, you would expect a few more smiles in the room over this plan, but there were very few. Even Mayor Keith Hobbs, who was asked to speak at the event, said he was only 3/4 happy.
It's not so much of a battle now, it's more of a scuffle to get the rest of it done. We've done the heavy lifting now and we're seeing some fruits of that. We still have questions, where the torrefied wood pellet's going to come from. Can we produce those in Thunder Bay? Have a plant here in Thunder Bay, so I'd like to explore that avenue.
Energy Task Force co-chair Ian Angus says they always knew biomass would be part of the solution, just not the only solution. He says they will continue to push for a conversion to natural gas.
We'd be quite happy to see a mix of natural gas and advanced biomass, using the advanced biomass for the peaking component, but the natural gas is the steady source of energy to convert to electricity.
Only one of the 2 units will be switched over, meaning the plant will only be capable of producing half the amount of power it's capable of providing now, and that will mean some of the 110 jobs there will be lost, says plant manager Chris Freilich.
There will be fewer staff at the plant as a result of this conversion, but as stated, we're going to have the alternative of the plant being laid up. This is a far better scenario for us, strictly from a staff perspective.
The Ontario NDP say this power plant announcement is deja vu all over again. They say this is the 3rd time the Liberals have promised the conversion, with the potential of an election looming.
And I think if anybody's being sort of simply political, it might be indeed the leader of the third party. We are very much, Bill and I, working on this for the last 10 years. I think it's really quite fair to say that none of the other 2 parties have been in any way on this until very, very recently.
Dennis Ward, TBT News.
Thunder Bay man has been charged with possession of child pornography after investigators seized 15 computers, 6 hard drives, and approximately 10,000 DVDs from his North Herald Street home. 38-year-old Dan Naraki was arrested yesterday morning when Thunder Bay police executed a search warrant of the Southside residence. Officers began their investigation back in May of 2012 when they became aware of a Thunder Bay internet user using a peer-to-peer file sharing network. 3 videos were obtained by police late last month and confirmed to be child pornography. That ultimately led to the search of the Herald Street home. Investigators say it will take months to examine the evidence due to the sheer volume of material seized. Naraki was a part-time professor at Confederation College in the Engineering, Technology and Trades Department. The college issued a statement today saying his employment has been terminated as of today. Naraki appeared in court this morning to face 2 charges: possession of child pornography and making child pornography available. He's been remanded to the district jail and will be back in court on Monday. City police say the incident is not connected to a major child porn case announced yesterday in Toronto.
A former Armed Forces medical technician who once served here in Thunder Bay has been found guilty on several sexual assault charges. Retired Petty Officer James Wilkes was charged in connection with a series of incidents between 2003 and 2009 while performing medical examinations both here in the city and in London, Ontario. Wilkes is already serving time following an earlier conviction on similar charges. He will be sentenced on the new counts in February.
The District Health Unit is reporting 2 confirmed cases of influenza A in the city. Those cases affect 2 younger children. And that age group is also the focus of this year's campaign, as the Health Unit sees the highest number of flu cases in children between the ages of 1 and 4. Now that the flu is in our community, health officials are urging the public to consider getting the flu shot in order to protect themselves. The body takes 2 weeks to build immunity after getting the vaccine. Health Unit officials say it's important to get immunized sooner than later, as influenza is a highly contagious disease and can have serious complications.
Obviously, getting a flu shot is your best protection, but other precautions is, if you're ill, you should probably stay home. You shouldn't be going out, covering your mouth when you cough. Washing your hands well is probably the best thing you can do, that type of thing.
Free flu clinics will continue running across the district until November 28th. Following that, it will be available at certain pharmacies and at your doctor's office.
It's been another banner year for the students, staff, and faculty at Lakehead University. They celebrated the opening of a new law school, appointed a new chancellor who is from Thunder Bay, and also developed a new strategic plan. All of the details from the past 12 months were released today in the school's annual report, and it predicts the institution will continue to grow. Matt Scooby has more.
President of Lakehead University, Brian Stevenson, did his best David Letterman impression as he rattled off the top 10 stories from LU for the past year.
To our new Faculty of Law.
Even though the format of this breakfast may have changed, the news continues to be positive for Lakehead in this year's annual report. Between appointing a new chancellor and Derek Burney, a couple of massive donations, and continued excellence in research, it's been another great year for the academic institution. And Stevenson explains why.
Well, I think it's the hard work and stubbornness of us people in northwestern Ontario. We don't take no for an answer. We want to get something. Everything I find since I've arrived, it takes a lot of work to get done, but we get it done because we're unified.
Another part of the report outlines a new 5-year strategic plan. Chair of the Board of Governors, Cam Clark, says the development phase was extensive, but it's a solid plan moving forward.
We have a focus on student-centered learning, where we really are working hard to, I think, develop one of our strengths, which is we're relatively small and we provide high-quality teaching and learning opportunities. So there's a host of things like that in the plan. What we've tried to do is set fairly specific targets that we think are achievable, that we can monitor over the 5-year course of the plan.
Stevenson also outlines the early success of the new law school, despite the initial controversy over the Aboriginal curriculum.
In my conversations with the students, they are working very hard, but also having a wonderful time. It's a real magical place being at PACI and having it to be a law school, and they're contributing a lot to the economy and the community in the downtown.
Speaking of contributing to the economy, the report also indicates that Lakehead's economic impact of their operating costs is over $300 million here in Thunder Bay. Stevenson also touched on the expansion of the Aurelia campus, which he's very pleased about, but he did indicate to me that his late-night talk show skills might need some brushing up. Matt Scooby, TBT News.
Thunder Bay's newest grocery store is now open for business, and another one is on the way. The No Frills in the Northwood Mall held its grand opening today. Unfortunately, our cameras were not allowed inside, but staff were busy trying to keep up with the constant stream of shoppers. Owner of the store, Darcy Leduc, says he spent the past 2 months making sure everything was set for today's opening. The store's focus is simplistic shopping, and even though it's been stressful getting it all together, he says the initial feedback has been positive.
From what we're watching, we are extremely excited how well the reception is for No Frills. We're new. We're the first store in northwestern Ontario, first store in Thunder Bay. There's going to be more coming up here, and the success of this store will help dictate bringing further stores up to northwestern Ontario.
As Leduc mentioned, the other No Frills store is getting set to open at County Fair Plaza on Dawson Road. That store will open its doors November 29th.
We've all heard about the dangers of drug use, both to the individual and to our society. But have those dangers been blown out of proportion? Columbia University psychology professor and drug effects expert Dr. Carl Hart insists they have. He was invited to speak at Confederation College this afternoon by the Thunder Bay Drug Strategy and the Canadian Students for Sensible Drug Policy to discuss sensible solutions for dealing with drugs. Hart advocates the decriminalization of all drugs. He says rather than throwing drug users in jail, we need to educate people on how to use drugs safely, should they choose to do so. But first, we need to change how we think about drugs.
So susceptible to hysteria, exaggerations about drugs, and try to require people to have real evidence when they talk about drugs, as opposed to some salacious story. If we do that, if we're just a little more critical, that will help tremendously. One of the things that government can do is to make sure that people are employed, make sure that people have opportunities.
Generally, we see the vilification of drugs. Don't do them, just say no. This is your brain on drugs, the frying egg type of thing. And his research is showing that they're not that there's no problems with drugs, but they're definitely not as harmful as the media has portrayed them to be, and that we need to have realistic education about substances.
Hart says the biggest misconception is that everyone who uses drugs is addicted, but he says in reality only about 10 to 20% of drug users are in fact addicts.
A 22-year-old man is facing charges for drunk driving after an early morning incident at County Fair Plaza. Police were called around 5 a.m. after a vehicle drove through a fence and fled the scene. Officers followed the tire tracks in the freshly fallen snow and found the vehicle outside a residence on County Boulevard with the driver still behind the wheel. A breath test revealed he was 2.5 times over the legal limit.
A late-night fire at a North End home was quickly brought under control by Thunder Bay firefighters. Around 11 o'clock last night, crews responded to a home on Cody Avenue and discovered a small fire in a mattress. No one was injured, and the investigation into the cause is underway.
Although the 2014 Winter Olympics are still a couple months from now, there was a different version of the Olympics happening right here in Thunder Bay. High school students in grades 9 to 12 were aiming to make the podium today at the 5th annual Lakehead University Science Olympics. Courtney Rutherford has the details.
Grade 10 student Jessica Gaudette has been excited for weeks to compete at the Science Olympics.
I'm here because I really like science, and this is a really awesome experience that we can have, and just a neat thing to be able to experience and do.
Gaudette, along with 3 friends from Superior Collegiate, have been studying together every lunch hour for the past couple of months. The event is designed to challenge students to apply their scientific knowledge and skills they've learned over the years.
Well, we really see it as a way to connect the university and the high school community in Thunder Bay, to bring them together, to show students what they can achieve using the knowledge that they've acquired so far. And ultimately, we want to encourage them to think about careers or university studies in science.
The first challenge had students positioning mirrors to use a low-powered laser to display a hidden object. Each team had 2 minutes to set up their mirrors before the laser was turned on. Kylie McClendon's team made it through the first round of challenges. She says her favorite part is competing against other schools in the city.
It gives you a sense of what's out there in a way. So if you want to follow a career in science, then you can see what's going on out there and just try to experience it outside of the school environment.
Other events included a chemistry puzzle, reconstruction of an aircraft from broken parts, and a photography game of cells. The event has been a joint venture with Youth Science Ontario and Lakehead University for the past 5 years. Courtney Rutherford, TBT News.
The Thunder Bay Children's Centre has named a new executive director. Longtime employee Diane Walker has been promoted to the post. Walker most recently served as the center's Director of Programs and Clinical Services. She replaces Tom Walters, who announced his retirement earlier this year.
The 23rd annual Rotary Christmas Parade is set to go tomorrow morning, and the floats are ready to go. Organizer Volker Krom says they have around 50 floats registered, and he hopes to see around 20,000 people line up along the parade route. It all gets underway at 10 o'clock, and Krom is reminding people about the new route this year. The parade will start at the Superstore parking lot and head north along Memorial Avenue before ending at the Community Auditorium. Santa Claus will be on hand for the parade once again this year, and he'll also meet with children at the finish line. Krom says Canadian Forces personnel have set up heated tents at the auditorium where snacks, hot chocolate, and popcorn will be provided.
Let's turn things over to Fiona and the weather. A beautiful day. You couldn't ask for a better one. And with the senior football final tomorrow and the Santa Claus parade, are we going to see another day like today tomorrow?
Oh, wow. No pressure there. Unfortunately, hopefully you got your fill of sunshine today because this weekend's not looking the greatest. We did start out with a fair amount of cloud cover, but as you can see throughout the day, nice flow from the southwest cleared things out quite beautifully. It looked really good by the late this afternoon, and we topped out with a high of, get this, 8 Celsius, and that's with winds from the west, at times gusting up to 22 kilometers per hour, but you didn't mind the extra wind. Out with temperatures and skies like that, it was just glorious. At this hour, we're at 3 Celsius, and across the region, everybody seems to be enjoying above freezing temperatures. A little bit more cloud as you head up to the northwest. Fort Frances now mainly clear skies, and just a few clouds as you head up into the Greenstone region. Sault Ste. Marie also mainly clear at this time. Tonight, we are going to hit a low right on the freezing mark, partly cloudy and slightly breezy, but that flow is going to be from the south, so you don't really have to worry about any nasty wind chill values, but it could be gusting up to 38 kilometers per hour. Now that sets the stage for some pretty good things. Unfortunately, systems are moving through relatively quickly. This is what we've got on board for Saturday. This does not bode well for those outdoor activities, so with any luck, if you cross your fingers, we should be able to get a few breaks, especially as we have that all-important parade to go through. Nobody wants to rain on Santa. That's just bad form. And unfortunately, behind it, we have some very cold weather moving in, cold air from the northwest, and it looks like it's going to hit Thunder Bay late Sunday into Monday. But there's a good side of this. See, unfortunately, all the warm temperatures that we've had the last few days have nixed the plans at Loch Lomond. We had originally reported that they were aiming to open this weekend. That plan has been deferred. They're hoping that next weekend will be Loch Lomond's opening weekend, and this core of cold air could help that along. I'll have more details on the temperatures we're going to be dealing with over the next few days. It's later on in the news hour.
All right, thanks very much, Fiona. Well, that's the story everyone continues to talk about. Today, Toronto City Council moved to strip away some of the powers of renegade Mayor Rob Ford. The latest on that and more as your Friday News Hour continues.
We're trying to restore a semblance of decency and dignity to the offices of a council.
More fighting words from Mayor Rob Ford today as Toronto City Council passed motions to limit his powers as mayor.
Ford says he has no choice but to launch legal action and challenge the moves in court. But despite Ford's warning, Council overwhelmingly voted to pass the first 2 of 3 motions, stripping Ford of his ability to appoint key committee chairs. Ron Charles reports.
These are powers that
Toronto City Council does not have the power to remove Rob Ford for his transgressions, and so today they took unprecedented steps to do the next best thing: strip him of his key powers, leave him mayor in name only.
While we are saddened with what we had to do today, it was the right move. We're trying to restore a semblance of decency and dignity to the offices of a council and to the governance of the City of Toronto.
The motions councillors passed with near unanimity give the city's deputy mayor power in emergencies such as natural disasters, and take away the mayor's power to fire his deputy or members of council committees, including his own executive. Ford was uncharacteristically sedate in his reaction.
If I would have had a mayor acting the way I have conducted myself, I would have done the exact same thing.
There's fight in him yet. His lawyers are launching a court challenge to council's move.
Obviously, I can't support this, and I have really no other options but to challenge this in court.
Ford remains the official representative of the city nationally and internationally, and can still preside over official functions, to the chagrin of this former Ford ally.
I think most Torontonians would say that he's no longer qualified to do that.
He wants Ontario's premier to step in, but she seemed to suggest today's vote means she won't have to.
My concern is that City Council function, and the decisions that were taken this morning, I think, demonstrate that City Council is determined to function.
This is far from over. On Monday, Toronto Council will consider another motion to further dismantle Ford's mayoralty, a motion to strip him of his budget. Ron Charles, CBC News, Toronto.
Pensions and a contentious federal job program were under discussion as Canada's provincial and territorial premiers met in Toronto today. Ontario's Kathleen Wynne, who was hosting the gathering, says most of the talks revolved around those 2 issues. Her top priority is reforming the Canada Pension Plan, warning there will be a huge financial crisis if action isn't taken now. But the provinces are divided on the issue, with some advocating for CPP improvements and others opposed out of concerns it will kill jobs. Still, Wynne is expressing confidence the leadership will find a way forward. And highway mayhem in British Columbia today, a major crash jammed Highway 1 near Chilliwack, BC. 17 vehicles, including a Greyhound bus, collided on a bridge. More than a dozen people had to be taken to hospital. It's thought that smoke from a nearby campfire may have contributed to the pileup.
It was exactly a week ago that Typhoon Haiyan swept through the eastern part of the Philippines. The confirmed death toll is now over 3,600, and hundreds of thousands of people who survived the storm have nowhere to live. The aid agencies trying to help in the Philippines are facing enormous logistical challenges. Chris Brown has more on a Canadian woman who's just starting her work in the hard-hit city of Tacloban.
Food has arrived in Tacloban, so in a way, this huge lineup stretching almost a kilometer is a sign of progress.
Rice, water.
These people told us they've queued for 3 hours to get 3 kilograms of rice, 2 cans of sardines, noodles, and bottled water. Providing clean water to drink is a priority, and it's what's brought Canadian Julie Colgan here.
It's absolutely horrific. I've never seen anything like this before. You become a family for the 3 weeks that you're here.
Colgan is with Global Medic. She says they've just established a purification device on the outskirts of town that cleans 40 liters of water a minute.
The water is very dirty with E. coli, just dirty sediment, sand, and people are bathing in it. They're also using it to drink water, unfortunately, which is making them sick. So that's why water is our #1 goal.
The logistics, though, are daunting. There's no electricity or gasoline, and really, how can you start cleaning water when there are still so many cadavers buried in the rubble and on the streets? Whatever the official death toll suggested by Philippine authorities, scenes like this with 16 bodies and bags just lying at the side of the road suggest there are a great many more to be counted. Across from City Hall, we saw the forensics team doing their best to give the dead some names. And yet, amid all of the depressing scenes here, we find someone sounding an optimistic note about this town, the local mayor. He told us that perhaps within a month, people might be able to do things like shop and buy food in the stores again.
This is the time wherein we have people want to hear words of encouragement. You know, we want to stay away from depression. We want to stay away, even though it is realistic. But you know, it starts from dreams. You start dreaming, and you know, people now will start putting that into their thoughts from their dreams and making action.
The hundreds of thousands of desperate souls who live here will hope he's right. Chris Brown, CBC News, Tacloban.
Canada's Defense Department says an additional 70 people are on their way to the Philippines to help with the relief effort there. And it says more equipment and personnel will be heading out in coming days. Julie Van Dusen has the latest.
Most of Canada's Disaster Assistance Response Team, known as DART, has now arrived in the Philippines. Military personnel brought much-needed equipment, including a backhoe and a truck, to open up some of the roads on Panay Island.
This will allow the flow of humanitarian agencies and access to impeded communities to do the good work in helping those in most need.
Another flight is leaving from Trenton, Ontario, a Globemaster carrying a water purification unit.
In fact, over the coming days and weeks, there will be more flights in and out of Iloilo, bringing more equipment and personnel.
With clean water in short supply, officials are concerned about the spread of cholera and hepatitis A. Many people are injured and hungry. The Red Cross is dispatching medical personnel from Canada. They will arrive in Cebu tomorrow.
When I read today that there will be 300 patients, we are able to sort of deal with 300 patients a day, I mean, I took a big breath in.
Canada has pledged $5 million, but will also match donations from individual Canadians. The Red Cross has collected almost $11 million. Much of that will be matched by Ottawa. Canada has also announced it will fast-track immigration applications for those directly affected by the typhoon.
At this point, the numbers are small in that respect, but we are making the offer and seeking to ensure that priority processing is provided to any individuals who've suffered as a result of the typhoon.
Officials say 330 Canadians were in the area hit by the typhoon. They've managed to contact most of them, but 75 who are still unaccounted for. Julie Van Dusen, CBC News, Ottawa.
Major North American markets ended the week on an up note. In Toronto, the TSX gained 51 points to 13,482. The Dow up 85 points to 15,961, and the Nasdaq closed at 39.85, up 13 points. The dollar gained about 0.2 cents to finish at 95.72 cents US. Gold inched up $1 to $1,287 an ounce, and oil was virtually unchanged to remain below the $94 a barrel mark.
Well, last chance for Thunderwolves fans to catch the team in action at the Gardens this weekend before the Christmas break, and they're at a bit of a disadvantage. They're playing a bit of an unknown quantity.
Yeah, they've only faced Concordia once, and that was in Montreal years ago, and they swept them. Here's hoping they could do that to them at the Gardens this weekend. It'll be first opportunity ever to see the Stingers here. Your Thunderwolves put a 7-1 conference record on the line this evening at 7:30 when they welcome Concordia to the Gardens. The Stingers have only 2 wins in 8 games this season. Lakehead has feasted on some of the OUA's weaker teams who have a combined record of 9-26-1. Head coach Bill McDonald says that doesn't really matter.
I got respect for all the teams that we have beaten. And again, there's probably better teams out there that we're going to have to play. But the way I coach, we worry about ourselves. And when the next opponent comes up, we'll try to beat them. And I know we didn't beat Alberta, but we come damn close, which puts a seed in the back of my mind. I know we can play pretty good at times. So we got a lot of work to do still, though.
Yeah, the coach certainly likes the way his team is performing. It makes him feel like they've got a shot against anybody they'll face. He's particularly pleased with the Wolves' balanced offense. Lakehead is the #1 scoring team in the province, averaging 4.5 goals a game, and all 4 lines are contributing.
Well, it's a good thing. I mean, if you really look at the team from the outset, we were talking about depth, where we're going to score. And when this happens, it makes you think a little differently. We can score. And I think it's all just basically in the system. It's more or less hard work and, getting the puck behind your D, and you're going to get your chances. And if you get your chances, some are going to go in. And I think that's what's happened.
Well, 10 games in the NHL tonight, including Montreal and Columbus. The Leafs open up a home-and-home in Buffalo. Ottawa awaits Boston. Winnipeg entertains Philadelphia. And Edmonton hosts San Jose. Checking out last night's action. First up on the island, already up 1-0 in the second. No LA King picks up Aaron Ness. And the youngster makes it 1-0. That's his first ever NHL goal. 5 minutes into the third, the Kings make a game of it as Slava Voinov gets his team on the board. He will beat Kevin Poulin for his third. Tanner Pearson would tie it up with his first NHL goal. Then $1:27 to go. LA wins it 3-2. Tyler Toffoli tips a Jake Muzzin point shot. In Vancouver, the Sharks score in the final minute. Descended to overtime. Dan Boyle beats Roberto Luongo for the game winner 2-1 San Jose. A little bit of controversy there. And in Calgary, all Dallas, Tyler Seguin with 5 points, including 4 goals, while teammate Jamie Benn added a goal in 5 helpers. The Stars shoot out the lights 7-3. In Thunder Bay's Patrick Sharp got his 5th goal as Chicago beats Phoenix in the shootout 5-4. Right after that game, the Hawks announced that they've reacquired forward Chris Versteeg from Florida in a 4-player trade that will see Jimmy Hayes go to the Panthers. Well, both Lakehead basketball teams look to improve on 1-3 records tonight in Sault Ste. Marie against Algoma. They face Laurentian and Sudbury tomorrow night. And the LU volleyball squad hopes to snap a 4-game slide at the Thunderdome tonight at 7 against Queens. Ryan Benazzo has a preview.
With a promising 2-0 start, now just a distant memory, the Thunderwolves are trying to find a winning combination after 4 straight road losses. Coach Chris Green has made it clear to his players that they'll have to find some consistency away from the Thunderdome if they hope to become a legitimate threat in the OUA West.
I just don't think the girls have concentrated well enough on the road. I think we've had a decent game against Ryerson. We stunk against Toronto, which was frustrating. We followed up Toronto with a poor effort against Mac. And then the Saturday effort against Mac was much better. We had to sit and talk about things and hash things out, and the girls did a good job. So although it was a 3-1 loss, it had promising signs.
One positive all season long has been the serving prowess of Brittany McLeod. The veteran middle has more service aces than anyone in the country. In fact, Lakehead as a whole is one of the top serving teams in the CIS. It's what happens after the serve that's causing problems.
I think we did really well executing our serves and executing game plan. I think it just fell apart a little bit with some of the errors that we made.
And it's those unforced errors that continue to haunt them.
These girls know how adamant I am about errors. It's the one thing in this game I just cannot stand, and we can't give 3 points away. We're not that good. I'm not sure any team's that good.
If there's one thing that the Wolves players can take solace in, it's that the team has dug itself out of much deeper holes in the past. Last season, Lakehead started the year 3-8. Then after the Christmas break, rattled off 6 straight wins to push themselves into the playoffs. Libero Brianne Hillhorse knows there's still a lot of volleyball left to play.
It's just a matter of
finally executing our game plan and doing what we say we're going to do, because that's what turned us around last year. And you'd think we'd learned, but I guess not. So we got to do it again.
It starts this weekend against Queens and RMC. Ryan Bonazzo, TBT Sports.
Well, Westgate captured the junior varsity girls basketball title last night, topping Hammersholt in the final 52-43. Megan Rubin had 11 points for the Tigers. NBA tonight, the Raptors can rejoin the 500 club with a win at home against Chicago. Derrick Rose not expected to suit up for the Bulls. To the NFL last night, Titans march 80 yards on 8 plays to open things up. Chris Johnson, he will find daylight, finding another gear as he goes 30 yards to the house for the Majors, 7-0 Tennessee. With 4 minutes left in the first, Johnson fights his way in, this time from the 7-yard line. It will be his second touchdown of the game. 14-zip Titans. Colts, though, storm back with 14 unanswered points in the third. They've got a 20-17 lead as Andrew Luck runs the 11-yard keeper. Indy appears to put this one away with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter when Donald Brown takes it up the middle, 11 yards for his second major of the game. That made it 30-20. Titans did make it interesting. Ryan Fitzpatrick hooks up with Delaney Walker for the 19-yard pitch and catch. To close out the scoring, Indy improves to 7-3, winning a nail-biter 30-27. And more retired NFL players have been diagnosed with brain disease, which doctors believe was caused primarily by concussions. Now the league, its Players Association, and doctors are teaming up for a study to help those players. We get more in this report.
Is that it?
Pro Football Hall of Famer Joe DeLamielleure can keep up with his grandchildren. His wife of over 40 years.
She's my better half.
And still works out. But inside this tough guy, signs of darkness.
When I'm alone, I get depressed real easily.
Depression, trouble sleeping, short attention span. Experts say all directly related to recurrent blows to the head playing football.
We hit so much it was ridiculous.
Doctors at UCLA recently diagnosed DeLamielleure, fellow Hall of Famer Tony Dorsett, and others with early signs of a degenerative brain disease called chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE.
I'm in communication with the doctors at UCLA, and we're trying to figure out a way on how to combat this, how to fight this.
Now doctors across the country will lead that fight proactively. The NFL Players Association is funding a program with top brain experts from the Cleveland Clinic, Tulane University, and the University of North Carolina. Retired NFL players will be able to undergo confidential, detailed neurological exams and tests of their cognitive and motor functioning.
We're trying to establish a baseline level of neurological function, and then over time, what's changing? If something's changing, is that a yellow or a red flag, and do we need to intervene?
The goal is to relieve symptoms and slow cognitive decline, especially problems associated with CTE.
If he had a limp, we could deal with it.
I could deal with the limp.
You can't fix the brain, unfortunately.
Not for sure you can't.
Well, we're going to try.
Erica Edwards, NBC News.
Pittsburgh outfielder Andrew McCutcheon is the National League's most valuable player, while Detroit's Miguel Cabrera repeats as the American League's MVP this year. And 4 more World Cup of Soccer spots are up for grabs beginning today. Among the intriguing matchups, Portugal faces Sweden, the Ukraine battles France, and Iceland can reach the World Cup for the first time if they can upset Croatia.
It's exciting times in Icelandic football. Obviously, playing in Iceland in November will give us a new experience, but it will be definitely the 2 biggest games in Iceland football history. You know, we've come this far. We want to try and go all the way. We obviously know that we're the underdogs. Don't think anyone expected us to be in this position, let alone reaching the World Cup, but stranger things have happened in football.
And have yourself a good weekend. That'll do it for sports.
All right, thanks very much, Randy.
Well, tonight, Bones moves to its new night on our lineup. With more, here's your complete list of shows on Teletalk.
Tonight on Global Thunder Bay, starting at 8 on Bones, Brennan's need for logic slows down jury deliberations. Then at 9 on Hawaii Five-0, McGarrett and Grover try to serve a warrant to a computer hacker. And at 10 on Dracula, Grayson sets out to compromise Lady Jane by winning her heart. Over on CKPR Thunder Bay at 8, Marketplace's food secrets will change how you eat. At 8:30, Rick heads to Alberta to go gliding with the Air Cadets on the Rick Mercer Report. Then at 9, The Fifth Estate has the story of sexual extortion that led to Amanda Todd's suicide. And at 11:35, George has Gravity director Alfonso Cuarón in the red chair. Teletalk is brought to you by Points, the traffic ticket specialists.
Well, it's looking like a beautiful day today. Unfortunately, it's not looking like that's going to continue, Fiona.
Yeah, this could be kind of an interesting weekend pretty much across the board. Now, it started off really quite nice. Today we hit a high of 8 Celsius with lots of sunshine. It felt like mid-fall. It was an unbelievably beautiful day to explore and have a good time outside. Unfortunately, there's a lot of activity moving across the country this weekend. Now, Vancouver has rain right now, 7 Celsius, a wind warning. They're expecting gusts up to 80 kilometers per hour from the northwest. We've got snow towards Prince George. Edmonton currently sitting on the freezing mark. They saw temperatures basically drop all day. It's been going nowhere but down. Meanwhile, Calgary has some sunshine, but there's a snowfall warning along for Calgary and areas to the west. They're expecting to see about 20 centimeters of the white stuff by Saturday night. Now, southern Saskatchewan will also see temperatures and snowfall this weekend. Right now, they're sitting pretty close to the freezing mark with a fair amount of cloud cover. Winnipeg matched Thunder Bay's daytime high today, and they're still pretty close. They're currently at 7 Celsius under mainly cloudy conditions as the evening progresses. Toronto currently at 8. Ottawa at 7, a fair amount of cloud cover. all above seasonal temperatures today, but a very gray day in southern Ontario. Meanwhile, Quebec City saw cloudy skies, and they're still at their daytime high of 5 Celsius. Now, if we're talking about mild temperatures, well, let's say not mild, let's say downright warm, because Fredericton today hit a high of 12, Charlottetown hit 9, Halifax hit 10, and the temperatures are expected to match those and even go a little bit higher as the weekend progresses. Meanwhile, St. John's currently at 3 Celsius, saw mainly cloudy skies this afternoon. They're expecting a risk of rain for tonight. If we take a look at what's been going on today, front moving through, we saw very mild and clear skies. Unfortunately, as this cold front continues to move through and sink to in a more southerly direction, plus we have a warm front coming up from the south, and here we are being squeezed between these two. That's going to bring the potential for more gray skies and, yes, a little bit of rain for tomorrow, but it gets really nasty as we head into Sunday. You can see how it's developing with these two fronts kind of bumping into each other, the cold air hitting the warm, and that's making for some precipitation. Right now, temperatures are hovering right around the freezing mark. We've got -1 in Upsala. We've got +1 most other areas. And Kenora is even at 2 Celsius at this time. Meanwhile, Sault Ste. Marie currently at 3. That seems to be our hot spot in the region. Tomorrow, snow mixed with rain for areas towards Red Lake in the northwest. We've got showers in Fort Frances as they hit about 6 as their high. More rain for Greenstone and Sault Ste. Marie, mainly cloudy skies. At this hour, we're at 2 under mainly clear conditions. And tonight, a little more cloud cover, partly cloudy but breezy, gusting up at 38 kilometers per hour, then tapering off overnight to about 24 from the south, sitting right along the freezing mark. And then tomorrow we've got the parade. Well, this is what we're dealing with. Periods of light rain, 2 Celsius to start by noon, about 5 Celsius, and winds relatively moderate to light, and 5 by the end of the afternoon. Now, fortunately, the total accumulation of rain during the day is only about a couple of millimeters, so odds are pretty good that it should be at least light rain or breaking off enough that people can enjoy the parade. More rain on Saturday night, another millimeter or so with a low of just 5, so very mild temperatures. By Sunday, though, we could see 5 millimeters or more, 8 Celsius, but windy conditions, and that could turn to snow on Sunday night as the temperatures drop. Remember, I warned you the temperatures are going to drop. A couple of flurries with a high of -1 on Monday, -3 on Tuesday, then we start to pop up above the freezing mark again on Wednesday. So wet turning to cold. You're going to have to be patient if you want to see the sun again. Have a great weekend.
Okay, a little something for all you fellows who are taking part in Movember. There is a Mo Shave-Off party planned for the end of the month. Brett Hawley has details in tonight's edition of Front Row Center.
Well, hello, this is Front Row Center. I'm Brent Hawley, letting you know what's happening in the community of Thunder Bay. I was going to sit here and just stroke the stash for about 30 seconds, but I decided, you know what, it's creepy enough. I don't need to draw any more attention to it. However, the Mo's, they will be on parade. Be sure to support the Mo Brotherhood as Movember continues. And wrapping up at the end of the month, be sure to be at Kelsey's for the Mo Shave-Off party. That's right, it's all going down on November the 30th from 5 till 8 p.m. It's all in support of a great cause. Now, Terra Nova is going to be there, and if you register in advance, going to the Kelsey's webpage, or you actually go to 1035, the Thunder's webpage, you can register for it and be part of the 100 people that have a chance to win a Dinner for a Year gift certificate. It's all happening as part of Movember.
Front Row Center is brought to you by Teleco. We hear you at Teleco, your TBT authorized dealer, 601 Central Avenue.
As most people know, catching a glimpse of a wolf in the wild is a relatively rare occurrence. Now, some video service that's really, really rare. We'll have that for you right after these words.
It's a rare wildlife phenomenon, and now it's all captured on camera.
Typically, we think of wolves as hunters of ungulates, things like deer and elk and moose, but not in the Great Bear Rainforest.
Wolves fishing for salmon on BC's Central Coast. Unbelievable pictures. You can also watch it live on your computer screen. All thanks to this photographer from the University of Victoria. He's spearheading the project to install remote cameras to catch all the action. Wow.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Puppies.
Let's recap our top story of the day for you. MPPs Bill Morrow and Michael Gravel have announced a plan for the future of the Thunder Bay generating station, but instead of a conversion to natural gas, as had been previously announced, they're now moving to a wood pellet configuration.
And the Thunderwolves hockey team and volleyball team both have home games tonight. We'll tell you how they did and maybe even show you on the late edition.
And tonight, temperatures just going down to the freezing mark. In fact, a very mild weekend ahead. If you are planning to go to the parade tomorrow, okay, bring an umbrella. But temperature-wise, we're looking at about 5 Celsius during the day, even warmer on Sunday, but more rain.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Have a great weekend.